Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Morning. It is 9:01. I know, and I'm in trouble already because Commissioner Wild insisted we start at 9 o'clock, so we're a minute late, sir. I'm sorry. I apologize. Um, let's get us called to order and our roll call, please.
Commissioner Ashworth.
Here.
Commissioner Banks.
Here.
Commissioner Hassler. Commissioner Thompson.
Here.
Commissioner Wild.
Well, good morning. Before we get going, why don't we stand for our pledge? Lieutenant, will you lead us?
Yes, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Play ball, right? All right. Chief, you want to lead us off with some information about the Board of Managers?
Yes, I do. Chief Hartman, you come up, please. Last week, the Board of Managers at the St. Louis Academy nominated Chief Hartman to serve on the board. It was unanimous on our part. I wanted to present him to the board this morning for your recommendation. I just got a little short bio on Chief. Come on up here, Chief. Chief Jeffrey Hartman was appointed Chief of Police for the city of Creve Coeur in July of 2021. Began his career as a Creve Coeur police officer in May 1997. Chief Hartman has held various positions throughout his career, including patrol officer, detective, patrol sergeant. After being promoted to the rank of lieutenant, spent time as a commander in the Patrol Division, Investigators Bureau, and the Crime Prevention and Community Policing. Chief Hartman holds a bachelor's degree in psychology from the University of Missouri. Great college, man. MIZ.
Almost pulled it off on Saturday.
Almost pulled it off. And a master's degree in management and leadership from Webster University. He's a graduate of the 2069 session of the FBI National Academy. Chief Hartman is an active member of several law enforcement organizations, including the International Association of Chiefs of Police, the Missouri Police Chiefs Association, the Missouri Peace Officers Association, and the FBI Leader. Chief Hartman has been married 25 years and has 2 daughters. Congratulations, sir. Thank you.
We need a motion?
Yes, sir.
All right. Your motion?
Second.
All right. All in favor of
Aye.
Chief being appointed?
Can I pause for a minute?
Yes, sir.
Just ask a question about this university that you went to?
Yeah, why didn't you go
Which
to
one?
KU?
The
That's
second one we liked, that first one, little,
He did too well on the test to go to KU.
championships, huh? National championships. Oh, not a Garrett, just up the tees.
no, I am.
Are we ready? Are we ready to? Is there any more discussion?
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. Thank you. Congratulations, Chief.
Yours is one of the only municipalities that one of my kids hasn't gotten a ticket in yet.
Chief, got anybody here with you today?
No, I didn't bring anybody with
You didn't bring anybody?
me.
Okay.
By myself.
All right. Congrats, man.
Thank you.
We'll see you.
Yep.
All right.
Okay, thank you. Thank both chiefs. We have some swearing-ins to do for Washington University as well as the St. Louis Airport Police. Would you guys step forward, please? Good morning. All right, I need you to raise your right hands, repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I am a citizen of the United States. That I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States. The state of Missouri. And the charter and ordinances of St. Louis County. That I will faithfully adhere to the regulations provided in the rules and procedures for deputization as adopted by St. Louis County. And I will faithfully demean myself as a deputized officer of the St. Louis County Police, so help me God. Perfect, perfect. Now for our Washington University officers, As a deputized, you can put your hands down, I'm sorry. As a deputized officer for St. Louis County, you're authorized, your authority is restricted to the protection of persons and property on the Washington University campus. And for our airport officers, as a deputized officer of St. Louis County, you're restricted to the protection of persons and property at Lambert St. Louis International Airport as well. And look out for us on parking spaces. Okay. I put, but thank you, congratulations. All right. All right, take it easy on me out there now. I'll be looking for you out there. Congrats now. Thank you, sir. Thanks for looking after those folks out there.
Right.
Thank you. All right.
Congratulations. All right. Congrats. Take care. See you guys around. All right. Be good.
Chief, it says you had some commendations that you want to share.
Yes, I do. Police Officer Michael Pilla, Police Officer Ryan Silver, and Police Officer Joseph Montez. You guys come forward. Mr. Silver, Pilla, where's Pilla? Pilla, that's yours, sir. Silver? Sir. It's you. And Montez, that's you. What do you want us, Lori? Okay, over here, here we go. Great. Lieutenant, you come forward, sir.
Good morning, members of the board, Chief Gregory, ladies and gentlemen. On January 13th of this year, at approximately 3 a.m., officers of the Central County Precinct received a call for a carjacking at the Norwood Court apartment complex. Officers arrived shortly thereafter, contacted the victim, who was visibly shaken from the robbery and the extreme cold temperatures. They later learned that 4 males, all armed with handguns, forcibly took the victim's vehicle and fled the area. After their initial on-scene investigation, Officer Silver transported the victim back to his residence in the 1st Precinct. Officer Silver then returned back to the apartment complex around 4 a.m. and noticed 2 individuals that matched the suspect description running alongside the building. Officer Pilla arrived shortly after, where they witnessed both subjects enter a building. They got out of their vehicles and confronted them on the stairwell. Both individuals could not provide a legitimate reason for being in that building. Further investigation revealed they were both concealing firearms in their waistband, and one of them had the victim's car keys and driver's license on him. Meanwhile, Officer Montez responded back to the victim's residence, transported the victim back to the apartment complex where they completed a show-up, and he positively identified both suspects. Officers Silver and Pilla then transported the individuals to intake, where they were able to gain a full confession from one of the subjects. Officer Montez drove the victim around the apartment complex in an attempt to locate his vehicle, but were unsuccessful. They had to expand their search, and they later found it in a nearby neighborhood. Warrants were later issued for robbery first and armed criminal action. And I'd like to mention, even though this was near the end of their shift, they didn't pack it in. They remained diligent and worked together to safely remove 2 armed felons from the streets of St. Louis County. Job well done.
Report.
Thanks for keeping my neighborhood safe.
Come up there for a second.
That's where all the problems are, over those apartments.
Got anybody here with you?
Yeah, my sister-in-law,
Where's the sister-in-law?
Madeline.
Stand up, Madeline.
And from Peru and Clay came for me too. Go ahead, you can stand up.
Okay.
They came.
Great. Great. Montez, you got anybody here with you? You got all by your lonesome? Silver?
Yes, sir.
I recognize somebody here by the name of Silver. He goes back a long ways on this department, too.
I also have my wife, my mother, and of course my dad.
And of course, your dad, of course. The lesser of the Silvers. Great having you guys here. I got a question for you. Did you guys put in comp slips for staying over?
For that day?
Yes.
Oh,
Of course you did. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Another promotion, Ms. Sarah Kennedy, would you come up forward, please? Sarah's being promoted from dispatcher 2 to dispatcher 3. Is that correct?
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay. Great.
Thank
Want to
you.
meet the board? Sarah, you got anybody here with you? I see some in green shirts, so
Just
where are
my
they?
work family.
Just your work family?
Yes.
Great. Congratulations to
you.
you. Okay. Mr. Chairman, that's all I have.
Okay, well, our crowd is kind of sparse this morning anyway, but this is the time we're about to get into our nuts and bolts, so we give everybody a chance to get a head start, a running start, if they want to leave us not staying for the riveting part. And there they go.
Congratulations. What's going on, stranger? What's going on with you, man? How you doing?
Living the dream.
Great.
Proud of my boy.
There you are. All right. Cool.
What's this? I have no idea. You open yours first, in case it blows up. How you feeling? You feeling good? What's up? How you doing, sir? Come up to the front like church. Come on up to the front. Until we pass the plate. There are plenty of seats up front. That's what they always say at church.
Yes, you did.
Here comes reinforcements. What is it? Okay. For some reason, everybody runs out when we start talking about the budget report.
Terry, you up?
Good morning.
Good morning. Do I have to worry about it? Okay. Arms behind my back, I don't know. The total shortage is about 200,000. That's, can go probably either way when we look at overtime and things like that. Every pay period, it's such a big change. So right now, I'm thinking that, I feel like it'll be better than that anyway. So over time, I had to up the shortage a little bit to 4.4. We just keep getting higher and higher. And then the retirement payouts, 1.9 short, and that should be it. There shouldn't be any more payouts until the first of the year. Retirement, the fringe retirement is expected to have a 2.4 million surplus. I had to think about that. A surplus just because of that change on 9/10. I still don't know if they're going to change it back and increase that percentage, but right now they're sticking with where they're at about 14, 15%. Then medical, we did on that first paycheck of October, the new rates, it wasn't that much higher, so I'm still expecting around a 1.2 surplus. Fuel, telephone, and vehicle maintenance are all showing a surplus still. Those are my big ones. I know you can tell from my sheet I give you that they're kind of all scattered, but those are the big ones. For 2026, the county executive recommended what we submitted, so now it's at council. The chief has his presentation on the 23rd of October. I think I've mentioned that before. And then ARPA funds, we have spent 33.7 million, and we've submitted to the state 16.8 million and been reimbursed that same amount. Any questions? That is it for me.
might be better addressed by Colonel Schneider, but what's the uptick in overtime at 1.3 million?
It's not really patrol that isn't increased. So I have, sorry.
You're not, I'm not done, I'm not done with you yet.
I'm helping you out. There, I have an overtime sheet on the, it's like the third page, and it's by month, and it just gives each, like, the reason of the overtime, and you can kind of compare it. I did it from January through September, so you can kind of compare, and, so I consider patrol as being general staffing, beat staffing. Am I right? Yes. So that has stayed the same, if not has gone down a little bit. And then other areas, I don't, without digging into them, I mean, I see like investigations, I will say our reimbursable hours have gone up. And when we get reimbursed, it doesn't go back into our budget. It goes into the general fund. So that kind of can hit our budget pretty hard. Let's see, there was one other one. I think it was, that was just kind of up higher in September was the tactical support events, but those run, they can be high one month and low. It just depends on what's going on.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
yeah, sure.
So on the 23rd, is that when everything is finalized, or will be changes before the
No, so
23rd?
that's when we will present the budget to the council.
On the 23rd.
On the
Gotcha.
23rd. And they gave the chief like 15 minutes. They give him 15 minutes, and then they start asking questions.
Gotcha.
And he presents all the highlights, I guess, really. So, and then we won't.
I'm looking for.
You can't wait for that, I bet. Bet you're excited about that, aren't you, Chief?
Then usually, it's not until December. That we know.
Okay.
Maybe November. I think it was even later last year. I think it wasn't until January.
Okay.
Okay, Chief, what did we go in with from a budget perspective? An increase of 3%, 5%, 8%?
It was about 6%.
And that's what,
But then with fringes and, they just had, that's one thing they had to change, going to the county executive, they had to increase those. But yeah, it's about 190 million, 93 million or so.
and with the county council, have they given you any guidance, or, and that's a collective view, Chief,
What was the question?
The county council, have they given us any guidance?
on what to expect, right? So they're looking to cut, what, $60 million, and so they're going to have to do something to everybody. Have they given you any indication of what they're going to, the collective view, not just you, but the collective view to,
Oh, I'm sure they have, but definitely us, we're coming in with some budget cuts, one that I'm catching a lot of grief about, but we'll deal with that. I know that we've been, part has been our liaison from the county council working with us, so I don't know that we'll have another meeting before then, but obviously there are some things that we're going to present to them that we have used to cut budget, hiring commissioned police officers, things of that sort. We got rid of a $400,000 building that we were going to have to pay for had we not moved some people to different locations. And then again, the academy cut, the one that I'm catching the grief about. So, yes, we will present those to them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Captain?
Good morning.
All right, I'll be reviewing September statistics. Before I get started, just to address like what was discussed during last month's board meeting, I am having discussions with our analysts about what data sets or matrices we can present going into 2026 for the board to go in a different direction from what we've been presenting the last couple of years. So if there's any any data or any recommendations you can provide to us or guidance on that, we'd appreciate it. But for the rest of 2025, the presentations look pretty consistent for comparability into future years. So, but of course, we're open to suggestions on that. Let's see here. So notable events, citizen complaints for the month of September. One was received, which is still under investigation by BPS. So that brings us to 14 for the year to date. And then for internal investigation incidents, we had 5 last month, and those are still majority like preventable motor vehicle accidents. For uses of force, We've had 291 year-to-date. That's a pretty significant decrease compared to this time last year. So that represents about 2% of our overall arrests. So you'll see in a couple slides that we've had over 1,000 arrests from the month of September. And so that's a pretty significant stat there. I think it shows our officers use a pretty good judgment, de-escalation techniques when it comes to only 2% of our arrests even turning into a low-level use of force. So over those uses of force, 70% of those are low-level physical restraint. Department of Motor Vehicle accidents, we had 11 in the month of September. That's a 7.2% decrease compared to this time last year. And then we had 2 vehicle pursuits in the month of September. Failure to yield numbers are also down pretty significantly by almost 500. So that's a 29.1% decrease compared to this time last year. The majority of those continue to be in our 1st and 8th precincts. Any questions on that slide before we move on?
I do. Go ahead.
Oh, please.
So, you said internal investigation incidents were primarily for vehicle accidents, Department of Vehicle accidents?
It's usually pretty consistent. That sometimes officers forget to turn on their body cameras, so like policy violations, that usually is what's coming towards BPS from the field.
So I guess the question is, when I look at Department of Vehicle accidents, they're down for the month of September.
Correct.
But the investigations are up, way up.
Correct. So I'm not saying that they're all from motor vehicle accidents. There's a significant percentage of those internal investigations are from motor vehicle accidents that are preventable. So department vehicle accidents in general, that could be not at the fault of the officer. It could be from the other driver. So there's, not necessarily the officer's fault. It could be from the driver's fault. So that would be the difference in that number there.
Thank you.
Yep.
Captain, one of the things we did talk about, so thank you for following up on what 26 looks like, to see if there's other numbers out there than just looking at the same numbers that give us a better feel for what's going on. But the other half of that request was an understanding of citizen complaints and of the internal investigations, those notable events, and you and your staff are going to take a look at that and provide a little bit of guidance on what those are, since those are both up pretty significantly, not at a detail level, but some trend level information.
Correct. I mean, looking at, the overall, the type of complaints coming in, those are actually investigated formally by BPS. They're going to fall in the gamut of what I would consider like a general order or policy violation. So, maybe not taking a police report or something, I wouldn't say low level, but like, they're not, this could be a policy violation that is investigated, looked into by BPS. The officer should have done this instead of that type stuff, and usually it's addressed through additional training or retraining type things.
So is that a specific comment to our request for information around why we're up 56% and 30%, or is that a generic response of what usually falls in here? Because we're looking for the former. Why are we up 56% and why are we up 30% on those two things?
So I would say that when it comes to my office and the numbers I present, I try to maintain a separation between us and what BPS is investigating. So we'll have to have ongoing discussions as far as like what I should be presenting to you during this forum, what can be discussed during closed session. I'm hesitant to get into too more details than that because I don't want it to turn into a discussion that probably is not appropriate for this format.
Yeah, we've had that kind of conversation every year of what is, we're not looking for specific information, but if we suddenly have so one of the things that ultimately comes into play too, right? And I don't mean to lecture, but it's hard for us to do our job if we don't understand what's going on in the organization when we have citizen complaints up 56% and we have internal investigations up 30% without having some trend information. Is that due to, we don't care about names or situations, we're looking for the trend information, which is very legal for us to talk about and should be talked about in here, right? That's our job.
Sure, that's fair. I would say that in the month of January, February, there was, I think, 4 or 5, like right at the beginning of the year. Since then, subsequent months, we've had like 1 or 2. I do have those discussions with internal affairs as far as are they seeing any trends, something that should be concerning to discuss with the board. As of now, no. Even the one for the month of September was, I believe it was a policy violation, something very low level. So.
Would it help if we were able to give you the reasons for the increase, just a general reason for the increase?
All we're looking
Right.
for.
And maybe with that, we could determine what we're doing to settle, to deal with those issues.
That's all we're looking for,
We're
Chief.
just looking for a general reason, because you'll find that a lot of these citizen complaints or calls in turn out to be nothing, but we have to log it as a complaint. So that's one of the reasons that they're up. So we can do that. Just give a general reason for the reason that these complaints are up, no specifics.
To follow up on, because that was part of my question, but I'm curious about what triggered the citizen complaint, because if the investigation was an internal policy issue, in some cases, policy-related issue, the citizen wouldn't know if something was violated policy-wise or not. So that's not what triggered the complaint. So, you don't have to discuss that here. I mean, in your investigative follow-up, what triggered that citizen to make the complaint in the first place?
I would say that would be for our internal affairs investigators that had a dialogue with the citizen makes the complaint as far as what was the catalyst that initiated this phone call. Sometimes our internal investigators are getting contacted by citizens that hear about an issue. They're not directly affected by the police officer's response. Like the chief alluded to, a lot of those are, we make ourselves available to the public. We advertise how to make complaints or provide accommodations about officers. So citizens sometimes contact our agency regarding a perceived law enforcement issue that doesn't necessarily involve our department. So we, like I said before, we guide them into the proper avenue or resource to make that complaint with the appropriate agency, or we determine if it's something that did occur within our department that needs to be investigated by our internal affairs investigators. As to your question, that's part of the investigation. So I certainly don't have access to that, like what triggered, why did they make that complaint, or why did they make that phone call? So I don't know that.
Have any of these investigations triggered a change in policy?
Not this year to my knowledge. Like historically, yes. Of course, we evaluate policies and determine, is that investigation as a result of a training issue? Is it a policy failure? Of course, we evaluate that stuff every time something like that happens. Anytime a complaint is received. Is it inaction on our officer, is it a training-related issue, or just something that's not addressed through policy directly?
I guess I don't want to capitalize this time, but I had another question about the complaints, and something I was going to discuss in closed session, and if you tell me if we should table to a closed session. But I get calls and about some complaints that, and I kind of assess on myself that that's nothing, and I don't forward it or go forward with it. But then, I get videos from people, saying, well, showing some certainty that happens. Like, say, for example, there was a disturbance. And it's typically a case when the police shows up on the scene, people are yelling, and I know you guys got to try to assess who's right and who's wrong very quickly. The little bit I learned in my little FBI academy thing, you guys don't have a lot of time to really judge the situation. But while you're trying to assess and calm the situation, and most of the calls that I get, if it's a black and white related issue, they'll immediately handcuff the black guy while they're trying to sort things out. And by the end of the discussion, the black guy wasn't at fault. And my concern, what is the policy? If there's a dispute going on and there are two people going on, whether they're black or white, but two different disputes, why would you, if you're gonna cuff anybody, why wouldn't you cuff both of them while you sort it out? Because the guy who you assume may not be the problem may be putting you at risk while you handcuff the wrong guy.
A lot of that's determined by the call notes that the officer receives when he gets that call. And I remember one case where they described the suspect as being a black male dressed in all black. When the officer got there, he noticed the subject, and that was the guy that he immediately handcuffed. Now, it turns out that this guy was pretty much a victim, but he was based on the call notes that the officer got before he responded to the call. And we have done that before. We have handcuffed the wrong person on the initial call, but it's dependent on, a lot of it's dependent on the call notes that the officer got in the call.
Got it. And again, I think sometimes for your own safety, sometimes if you got an issue like that where you don't know and it's not clear, cuff them both while you figure it out. I mean, that's just my opinion, so.
I can say with the utmost confidence at our academy and at our continuing education at the Academy for In-Service Training and whatnot, we certainly practice a constitutional-based, community-oriented policing philosophy here. So like the chief alluded to, what YouTube or whatever, video you're watching, they don't usually capture like the dispatch that takes place behind that, or the
Right.
call for service that precipitated that, our response. So, if there's a description or something that alludes to this guy's likely responsible, the catalyst for the call for service, the officer's going to respond to that, and sometimes the video might not capture the back end of why that call took place.
Oh, the front end, I understand it.
Any further questions on that side? Failure to yield map, that's pretty consistent month to month also. So most of our failure yields take place during those late evening morning hours, with the majority of those taking place in the first or eighth precinct.
Again, because that has been a continuous trend, is there any thought to, is there anything that could be done to try to reverse that trend? I mean, what?
Well, of course, public education, when it comes to, I think that is indicative of our officers during those late evening, early morning hours doing proactive police work. So even in the first eighth precinct, our busiest precincts, or of course, the first precinct, even during their calls, directed calls for service, they're still doing proactive police work, trying to stop motor vehicles for investigative purposes. So during those late evening, early morning hours, that's when the majority of our, I would say violent felony type crimes, those calls for service take place. And our officers doing proactive police work to try to prevent that from happening. So when it comes to the type of individuals that are not stopping for us, no law on the book's gonna make them just stop. It comes from us trying to be proactive out there. Any other questions on that slide? Like I talked about earlier, for the month of September, 1,029 arrests, 60 guns seized, and 34 DWIs. Our highway safety unit for the month of September had a couple of guys on detachments, vacations and whatnot, so those numbers are down. That unit makes up a pretty significant portion of our DWI arrests each month. Anything else on that one? Crimes against persons. Same thing, month to month, those numbers are trending downwards, 7% overall. Homicides are down by 16.7%. Every category, for the most part, with the exception of aggravated assaults, are down. And then with the infographic on homicides, we had 2 in the month of September, 1 in an unincorporated precinct, and then 1 in Bellefontaine neighborhoods that we had for them. Year-to-date, 30 compared to 25 last year. So we've had 25 in unincorporated and 5 in the municipalities. Clearance rates, like I mentioned each month, are exceptional. Any questions on that one?
On that slide at the end, I would like to go back to what the slide previous, or maybe 2 slides previous, the NIBRS data.
Let's see here, I'll go back to that one.
It'll be a follow-up.
Okay, yeah. Crimes against property. At the very early part of the year, we had an uptick in robberies. That's kind of leveled out, especially that third category on there showing a 250% increase. We've had 7 robberies with a dangerous instrument year to date, 2 compared to this time last year. So we've had a difference of 5, but the percentage looks pretty significant. Overall, down 10.1% for crimes against property. Crimes against society, also down in almost every major category. I think it was the month of February or March, we had an uptick in prostitution-related offenses. And again, those are as a result of proactive police work, not calls for service, but we have specialized units that investigate those. Directed calls for service, coming out of the summer months, I think every precinct is starting to drop below the moving average. Pretty close to the moving average, but there's a slight decrease due to coming out of the summer months. Self-initiated calls for service, I think almost every precinct is very close to the moving average. Pretty on par with that. Any questions on that one? Top calls, this is pretty consistent month to month. Sick cases being the overall highest directed call for service. And if you look at self-initiated extra patrols, so that's also pretty consistent. Officers doing a proactive activity out there. And then traffic stop data, nothing of note for the month of September. The Q3 meeting will be taking place here soon with the Bias Free Policing Committee, so I'll be discussing that likely during November.
You know what, I've got a question. I thought about this when I was looking at it yesterday, where you have percent minority stops, percent Hispanic stops, percent white stops. So minority can be sort of redundant because Hispanic would fit that category, unless you say, instead of saying minority, you say black.
Well, we define that the way the state tells us to define it, because we have to report that consistently. So there's a category difference when it comes to the reporting to the state of Missouri.
And what is that? I didn't know that. What is,
Racial profiling data,
yeah.
so we're required to report that.
I mean, do you know?
So just like you fill out an employment application, so, white, Caucasian, black, African American, Pacific Islander,
Yeah.
Hispanic, or,
But her point is, you separated Hispanic, but you didn't separate black. But Hispanic would fall under minority unless you're saying that only minority is black.
Yeah, so the way we pull the data, the categories are what is required to be reported to the state of Missouri. So
And
that's,
that's what it is? The state of Missouri, majority is black?
yes.
That's kind of weird because
I'm not
if
sure, but-
you, if you have other people, as you said, Asian, Pacific Islander, where do they fall? Where do they fall? So it's not a good number.
So can I interrupt for a minute? Having done EEOC for years, right, the reporting, and I don't know if this is still accurate because I've been out of it. Hispanic is not a race. Hispanic is an ethnicity, and it's covered under white, right? Now, when you talk about race, not ethnicity. So I don't know that that's playing in here. So what people usually look at, right, is, well, Hispanic, they are a minority the way it's described, but the way the way the numbers play out is it's an ethnicity, not a race.
Right.
Right. So you're saying in that case, it should fall under white?
Correct, other than now you're back into.
Right, so
But they're an
So
ethnicity.
it's wrong one way or the other.
Yeah, again, I'm just trying
Right.
to explain the way the numbers have been listed in the past, and I imagine that's what they're following.
This
Yeah, that's
data,
it.
this data that you're reviewing right here, that I'm presenting to you, this is getting pulled from like our traffic reporting data, right? So if you write a citation, we're required to do a racial profiling stat. These numbers are being pulled from the boxes our officers are checking that are required to be submitted to the state of Missouri.
And I suggest this, Captain,
So-
maybe to
so-
solve this problem, maybe if you can bring us the data and how that looks so we can see, because we're asking questions that
Yeah.
have detail. Just if you can give us the listing, then we can figure out what questions we should be asking.
And I understand that, the categories were not created by you, but they're so inaccurate because Hispanic, what does that mean? Does that mean Mexican? Does that mean Colombian? Who is that? Again, right, it is a label, but it's incorrect. Yeah, because you get people from, so get somebody from South America. Where do they fit in? And they don't speak Spanish. They speak Portuguese or something else. So I'm just saying, I don't know whether that's something for us to do or not, to dig into those labels, because in reality, all three are incorrect.
It is, we understand it's not.
It's not you, I
It's
understand.
something, as you pointed out, it's something that we may have to take up with the state of Missouri. Say, hey, look, if you want this information provided, you need to clarify or fix this if this is what you want everyone to report on. So, good point. Yes, sir.
The categories are white, black, African, Hispanic, Latino, American Indian or Native American, Asian, or other. So,
Thank you, Sergeant.
Everything is Hispanic, white, and then minority includes those four other categories.
And nor do we expect our officers on traffic stops to get into ethnicity with somebody on a traffic stop. So it's
Right,
it's
right.
just.
Where you from?
They may not be inaccurate, they're inspecific
Yeah,
for what
they're
we're trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Any additional questions on that one?
Thank you.
Thanks for the clarity.
And then you said you had a question on a prior slide.
Yeah, can you go back to crimes against persons? And it is more of the summary piece here, which is, no, that's property. Can you go back to persons? Thank you. So it's down 7%, but it was down 20, almost 30% at mid-year. I'll look specifically at homicides. I think it was down somewhere around 30%. Don't hold me to that number specifically, right? The point of that wasn't to disagree with the information. The point of it is we've heard for years about regression to mean, right? And so at some point, we're probably going to figure that that's going to be a plus or minus one homicide over the course of the year. If that logic is true, I'm not suggesting I agree with or disagree with it. The real question comes back to, so what do we do about it? Is there anything we can do to reduce homicides? If we have a regression mean, it says it's going to happen no matter what we do.
That's a great question. And if I knew the answer, I'd write a book. It'd probably be but what I would say is most of our homicides are cleared because the majority of those are probably domestic related, or there's some sort of a family or friendship connection there, or a friendship that's spoiled or something like that. So other than making sure we have happier households out there, I mean, most of our homicides happen inside the household because of arguments or whatnot. And I don't know, quite frankly, if those are preventable. So,
Captain, that was less a question to you. It was a question for all of us in the law enforcement, right? What can we do about that? That wasn't, I should have looked this way when I asked the question, not at you, but it does come back to things like the VRC. Where are we with that, right? So it was an effort to try to reduce homicides. And so I expect whoever's next, expect that question on VRC.
I think that was an interesting observation that, you know, the homicides, you know, you got the mostly are personal, family or domestic related type issues and things of that nature. When the perception is, you know, there's just people are running around out here killing people, and it's not the case. And so, on a positive note, I mean, you all have not one of the, if not the best clearance rate in the country. So what do you attribute, and you said, mentioned a little bit here, but if it's that simple, why aren't other departments or other cities and others improving their clearance rate? And what are you all doing different in those lessons learned? Is something that we can do to share with other departments? Because it is extraordinary.
yeah, I mean, you gotta realize.
That's probably a question for the chief.
I think it's a matter of our community engagement out there in the neighborhoods that we're working with. And, you know, you know each other. People are shooting and killing each other, and they know each other. I'm not saying that it's easy work for Colonel Loris. I see he skipped out.
Yeah, he skipped out.
For his detectives to solve these crimes, but there's a lot of work even in solving them, even though you might know the perpetrator. There's still a lot of work, you know, the motive behind it, so forth and so on, but our detectives are called out in other municipalities to deal with homicides when they don't have the resources to do it, and, you know, they benefit from it. So I know Colonel Doyle up in Ferguson, we had worked a lot of homicides for him. At one point, he took one of his detectives and let them ride around with our detectives just to get some kind of idea as to what they were doing in reference to solving homicides. And I think he's had a number of homicides since then, and he's actually used that detective to solve it, to work his homicides. So we are spreading the news, getting the word out as to how these guys work to solve homicides. And like I said, we have an outstanding clearance rate.
I mean, that's great. You know, as you know from the Police Foundation, when we get those reports from the city and from you on issues, and I hear various stats, and I can just say, based on my observation, that you all are doing an outstanding job here in St. Louis County, and you all need to be, you know, commended for that, because it is stellar compared to other departments.
We send our detectives to a lot of high-class, high-cost investigative schools to do the work that they do. And they come back with the knowledge, and they spread that around as much as they can.
All right, thank you. Anything else? Anybody, other questions?
Up next, I have Marissa to do an update on the strategic plan.
Hello. I wanted to give a quick update on both quarter 2 and quarter 3 of the strategic plan. There's been a little bit of movement, which is always a good thing. So let's quickly look at quarter 2. There's some change in each of the categories, so compared to quarter one, completed items went up by 1, in progress items went down by 1, reoccurring items went up by 3, and not started items went down by 3. So we like seeing that not started number getting smaller and smaller. It's always a good thing. So I briefly wanted to highlight what was completed during quarter two. It was kind of split, so we had half of the key activities completed by the committees, and the other half happened outside of the committees. So starting with what the committees did, the first one was to implement new and enhanced technologies to aid dispatching and patrol capabilities. So this was kind of like a two-part key activity. The first part of it occurred in October of '23 when we swapped to a new CAD system. That's been more user-friendly, and it's really allowed for more sub-classifications of calls, so we're able to get more, pull better information from that. And then the second half of that was completed at the end of June, where E911 texting went live, so residents can now text 911. The second key activity is to support and expand educational opportunities and programs that are not inherently criminal justice. So the HR committee worked on this. HR has been working on this for a while. It just kind of keeps growing, and it's one of those that we anticipate it continuing to evolve as we move forward. But some highlighted things that they really did was to participate in various career fairs that are not criminal justice. So they're really hitting up like colleges with athletics, just, you know, places you wouldn't normally think of finding qualified candidates. They've also started to overhaul their internship program and better use the cadet program to cultivate future employees. And most recently, they began a partnership with SkillBridge. It's a company that offers a portal to armed force veterans that are soon separating, so again, giving us a wider pool of potential candidates. The two key activities completed outside of the committees include create opportunities for precinct commanders to further interact with the communities they serve. Once again, this is something we've always kind of done, but it's just gotten a little bit better as we've moved forward. One really notable thing is the commanders do video updates for their precincts, and that's sent out on social media so residents kind of know what's going on. Not just that, we've also continued to participate in various community events. Recently, we had Coffee with a Cop, National Night Out in October. And it's not that we didn't do these events before, but we have 8 precincts, and sometimes we don't always show that on social media. So we've really kind of upped the social media presence and just showing what we are doing. And the second key activity was to assess department training to address procedural justice principles. This is something, again, always done, continuing to do, continuing to make it better. The CMPA creates course material with their procedural justice principles built into the curriculum. Sometimes they're not explicitly named, but the ideas are in there, and so they can better be applied to real-life scenarios. And it just allows some of these more abstract principles to be easier to digest. In this way, since it's more in a real-life-based scenario, it can be more easily applied to everyday work. Moving on to quarter 3, there was a little bit of movement here. So our completed and in-progress key activities stayed the same. Our reoccurring items went up by 3, and our not started ones went down by 3. So we're finally at 10 key activities that have not been touched, which is kind of exciting. So all of the key activities in quarter 3 were completed by the committees. A brief highlight on that. The Chiefs Committee worked to develop a process to allow for more public involvement in the policy development process. So this was a whole new process that's been created, it's been implemented. And basically what happens is when a general order is open for revision, we have a survey that goes out. So there's a link, and it's for the public, it's pushed out through social media. For department employees, it's sent out via email. And that survey is open for 30 days, so people can go in there, they can comment anonymously, they can leave their information, they can request follow-up, they can provide any type of feedback. After the 30 days, the survey actually closes, and that information is sent to the research associate who sifts through everything. They make the necessary follow-up where needed. They also work on compiling a document. So sometimes we have maybe comments or people who aren't like, why don't you do this? And it's like, well, we can't do that. So we want to make sure that those comments are heard, so we compile a document of maybe frequently asked things. And then once that's done, it's disseminated out to the public and to department employees. And what's really great about this process is it adds no additional time to our policy development process. It's done at the very beginning. So the research associate during those 30 days is already starting to revise the first draft of the policy. They're actively researching everything. So a lot of these comments can actually be found like in the first draft of that policy. So we've actually done it for a handful of policies so far, and I believe in every one of them, we've received some sort of feedback. And it's been really awesome. The feedback's been pretty beneficial, and we're looking forward to kind of see how that evolves down the line as we go into maybe more technical policies, and people just start utilizing it more. Our second key activity that was completed was to provide enhanced youth developmental training. This was completed by the Operational Support Committee. They continually are working with the Community Outreach Unit by being involved in existing programs such as PAL, and the big one this year is First Responder Camp. Just finding ways to use the programs we have to better be involved with that. Additionally, the Office of Emergency Management does do presentations to community groups upon request. This year, they've had a very large amount of requests. They kind of noticed an uptick right after a lot of natural disasters, which we've had quite a few this year. So just finding ways that they're continuing to adapt and provide these resources to the community. And the last key activity was to formalize a process that directs commanders to engage their work elements. This was completed by the Hybrid Committee, and they kind of have a few little subsets that they did in order to complete it. They, I believe last year, recommended that each work element have some sort of representative at command staff every week to just kind of better enhance that communication, keep everyone in the loop. That was implemented, and we're still doing it. And so far, it seems to be working out pretty good. Additionally, we've also started sending out weekly crime stat numbers via email, just, keep everyone in the loop, better that line of communication. And then the committee worked to develop a commander FAQ. So they actually surveyed department employees, and they developed questions on kind of what they wanted to hear from their commanders, which some of them were as simple as, do you want chain of command or open door? Or like, what are your thoughts on our hiring stats? So all those were compiled into a document. They were sent out to every work element commander who then answered them. And they were all uploaded into Power DMS. The links were shared with the employees. And they're now available for anyone to go view, department employee-wise, and they will be maintained by my bureau. So if there's any movements, we'll make sure that those are constantly updated. So overall, we're almost into year 3, and we're still moving forward with the strategic plan. It's still kind of been a learning curve. We've kind of run into a few key activities that are a little dated, but we're kind of learning to adapt and revise them to what the department needs now versus when we wrote the plan in technically in 22. So, any questions?
Marissa, you actually teed up the question beautifully. Thank you.
Mhm.
Great.
It's not to you, it's probably more to the chief or the deputy chief. Not sure, chief, whether you'll delegate it to the deputy chief or not again, but we're now halfway through a 5-year plan. Things have changed.
Yes.
Should we revisit the 5-year plan? Not redo it. Revisit the 5-year plan, to Marissa's comment about what's come up in 2.5 years that we might need to focus on and not wait another 2.5 years and therefore be 2.5 years late. AI, I'm using that as an example. Should we have a group that looks at AI? Should we have a group that looks at something else? Should we start to see what's coming in the future and have something focused on that? Are there laws that have changed that we need to address from a structural, from a strategy standpoint, right? That's the question. Thank you for the tee up, Marissa.
Oh, great idea. We can look at those things. I know that we are looking at some AI possibilities within our department, for one thing, so wouldn't be a bad idea. I know there are laws that have changed that we're dealing with. I think it was one that, I can't think of the one in particular that affected us to a certain point, and we're working on making those changes.
Yeah, thank you. And you all do that pretty well. And those are just ideas right off the top of my head. I'm sure there are other things if we sat back and looked. But it might be time just to dust it off and say, are we missing anything based on another 2.5-year look?
Any other questions on the strategic plan before we move forward?
Well done.
Thank you, Marissa.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
I do the monthly report for September for Human Resources. Pretty low key, but we do have a lot of things going on. I wanted to cover that. The usual, from September of '24 to September of this year. This year, we've had 4 resignations for commissioned police officers. Last year, we had 2 at this time. Retirements, 2 this year, none last year. For pro staff, we're even, 2 resignations, 2 last year, and then retirements. We had 1 this year and none last year. For our retention, for police officers, commissioned police officers, we've had 26, and we've talked about this before, but 26 resignations, 34 retirements. This, from January of '25 to September of '25, we've hired 45 commissioned police officers. So obviously that puts us in the red, 15. We have targeted that. We're working on that as we speak. We talked about that January class last time, and we've also received quite a few applications for commissioned police officers. We're really going after that right now. As far as professional staff, we had 32 resignations year-to-date, 3 retirements, and we've hired 75. That information will come in one of my next slides, and I'll explain that. In a nutshell, a lot of our pro staff positions are closed. You know, we've been able to fill those, which is great because obviously we can point all of our resources towards commissioned police officers and our security officer deficit and dispatchers as well. Those are our 3 biggest deficiencies right now, department-wide. Some recruiting and training updates. We have Class 212 that's still attending class at the academy. They graduate December the 18th of this year. We have 18 that will graduate in that class. We have Class 213 will start January the 5th of '26. They'll graduate in June 25th of '26. We'll have Academy Class 214 begin June 29th of '26. They'll graduate December 17th of '26. So that looks good, and you all know my expectations of those classes and what we were going for. We've also kind of peppered in some experienced police officers along the way too. So I think we're trending to hopefully getting our police numbers in order. Security officers, we're working a lot of backgrounds for security officers right now, as well as dispatch. The Dispatch Academy, we have one that began September 15th. So they'll call it 2 more weeks of training, and they'll be continuing on. We have Dispatch Academies scheduled for January 26th, April 13th, and July 27th of 2026 as well. So that should work us over in communications pretty well as far as the staffing, if we can retain. Our biggest problem right now is the retention, and hopefully it just works in our favor and we can get our staffing right. For our applications received September of this year, we've had 40. We had 32 a year ago. So that's improved. That obviously will help us. The more applications we get, obviously, the more we can work. Applications received for September of '25 for professional staff was 203. We had 471 received last year. That is because our staffing numbers for pro staff are much better. Care, our records clerks, a lot of those spots are full. A lot of our IT positions are fully staffed. Obviously, we know people that are going to retire, or you kind of get the, especially talking to some of the leadership, like, hey, we've got these people going. So it's really never a closed issue. We're always looking at the next person as somebody retires. But for now, we do have a little bit of breathing room there. 256 applications for September 25 compared to 503 from last year. It's a 49% decrease. A lot of that is just the jobs that are online. We don't have them, which is a good thing for pro staff positions especially. A lot of those we're seeing, obviously, police officers, security officers, and beyond. Friday, we have 2 interviews. It's our last 2 interviews for our part-time recruitment marketing specialist, and we're hoping to get that selection process finished up. So that will really help us out immensely with kind of getting our face out there. Essentially what that looks like is our office, myself, Director Wagner. It's things that we do in our office to kind of put ourselves out there as a police department. It takes us away from what we do, and it's pretty costly. So we can have somebody on a part-time basis, it's a lot more affordable, and they can kind of pick up that burden and take that on. It's going to help us out tremendously with our workflow.
LT, did we just hear you say that Executive Director Wagner is overpaid?
Oh, no. No.
High cost, you said, I'm sorry, just teasing, just teasing.
We have got a lot of things going on as far as the training goes, and ultimately, you know, the end goal, I know, talking to Colonel Schneider in patrol even, we hired 2 experienced police officers. We had 19 get cut loose off their training, so final phase of field training on the street. Those types of bumps are huge when you're looking at a bunch of empty vacancies on a patrol roster. So to be able to throw that kind of, and they come in waves, but if we can just keep doing that, we know we have our retirements coming for the next couple of years, so it's combating, you know, that sort of, we have loss coming with retirements. So trying to up the incoming numbers as well, so hopefully we can get there. Commissioners, any question?
Yeah, I had a question.
Yes, sir.
I probably missed this. You said we were down in the red 15 this year from January to now. Did we had that last year for comparison to see where we were? Did I miss that?
I can do that, sir.
Okay, I didn't know if you had shown it.
Year. I just did it for this year.
Right.
Looking at where we were at year to date for, especially with retirements and
Yeah.
resignations. And
Yeah, I got the 15 in the red. I was just wondering where we were last year.
And I can look at that. I'll bring that next month, sir. Anything else?
3. When's the date of the next academy?
January of 2026.
Bad question. When do we close out on the recruitment for that January?
So we will work that thing down. I mean, we're usually, if we can get it a couple weeks even out before the start of that academy, so call it mid-December, call it right before, there's a lot of things that we can push out a couple weeks out with post and things like that. We'll take it down to the wire. I'd like to see 30. We've talked about that before. I think we're probably not going to be there, but I'm hoping to shock you. We'll see.
Commissioner Wild, what was his over-under last month? I thought it was 42.
Now, I
I'm not kidding.
I will have something to combat that number if I fall short.
Could you, next month, would you provide us with total commissioned officers, maybe done differently, total patrol officers, no, that'll be November, right? So we'll have October numbers. Total October commissioned officers, 25 compared to total commissioned officers, 24 compared to total commissioned officers, 23. I mean, we see the data of how many we're hiring, but what I personally don't know is, just how many officers do we have out on patrol? Because we know that have this dearth of people in the other 2, right? That you mentioned, but I personally don't know where we stand on just how many officers do we have on the street.
Absolutely.
I could probably tell you that.
I didn't have the past couple of years.
2 different unincorporated contract municipalities, because the contracts are 100% staff. So, I got 273 with the grades. So, I can give you the exact number, but I don't have my hard battle number in my head right now.
And didn't expect you to. And if you need to split them out, split them out. I think what I personally like to see is, are we trending in a direction, or are we paddling because we're hiring more people but losing, right? We see the numbers at a detail level, but if you can pull them up for us to say, we've got 30 more officers on the street, okay, that's not good, but it's better than it was, right?
I can break down 23, 24, and 25 essentially with what we have actually. I mean, if you look at the vacancy list, sometimes what we see in our office is different just because we just say, for instance, I hired 5 people. I know that number is going to increase over the next vacancy report. So those 3 years, I can definitely show where we're at there.
It's more of a trend line. Are we at least are we a little better staffed than we were? Because we were hearing, we're down in the 60% level. Are we at 70%? Are we at 35%? That'd be great. Thank you.
Anything else?
I have a different question. We've been limping along shorthanded for some time now. Are there any examples that you can give where being short has really cost us, either in terms of productivity or lives or just you're doing your daily job?
Yes, sir. Short staffing numbers are never really a good thing, especially for retention, because everybody's working harder. Days off are harder to come by. It's probably one
We're
of the-
seeing like more burnout, we're seeing people.
100%. That's anywhere, sir.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not even just here. That's not exclusive to our agency, but, you know, if you do that, you're definitely going to have the issue. So we're working on it. That it?
That's what I.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
Have we noticed any difference in the quality of applicants? Are we able to keep the bar set high?
That's where we come in, and I know it's frustrating. You know, some people know a couple people, and hey, I've got this guy that's coming through the process, and they're coming from this place. But we kind of filter that, and we look at their backgrounds and see what it's all about. So we are ensuring that that quality is still up, you know, as far as the standard that we set. So we're working on that as well. But it does suffer a little bit. You definitely notice. Not much, but we can tell.
We've seen a lot more with criminal backgrounds, like, for whatever reason. I don't know what has kind of changed
Correct, yeah.
by the last 3 or 4 months. I mean, it just seems like left and right, we're having to disqualify somebody because of their background. It's crazy.
But they're probably seeing the way ICE has been acting, so they figure like anybody can be a cop.
It's a challenge, but we're getting it. So, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I know that the lieutenant mentioned something about retention. You know, when you look at the fact that this year we've hired something like 45 police officers, but at the same time we lost something like 60. So our problem is the retention. And we're trying to work on that. And as I spoke with, Julie sent me something the other day. Kalia sent us something about a program that they're going to do. We entered into that program. Captain Bland, I think he went out to take a cold shower after you guys were done with him. But he's going to lead that program with research and analysis. Just some ideas about what we can do for as far as retention is concerned. They're hopefully going to have some results based on that program by February of next year. And as Lieutenant Colonel said here, with the numbers the way that they are, quality of work out there is outstanding. So, who's up first?
South County.
South County?
Let's dim the lights for this presentation.
Morning, everybody.
We saw him on the news last week. Did you see him?
Yeah.
Yeah, he looked great. Made you look taller on TV.
Keeping South County safe.
Keeping South County safe from roofers.
All right, got a couple of quick slides up here, just more as visuals, but here to talk obviously about the South County Precinct. Just a quick overview of our boundaries. I know that that's not a perfect rectangle, but the South County Precinct, in a sense, is a rectangle bordered by 3 rivers and a highway. So to the north is River to Pear, is where we separate from the city. To the east, obviously, the Mississippi River. To the south, the Merrimack. And then on our western border is northbound 55, the 3rd Precinct takes over on southbound 55. We have, as the map on the right shows, 10 total beats that cover the precinct, 1 through 8, the River City Casino car, as well as a car assigned to the South County Mall area. For population, there's the numbers. Won't read them to you as you can see them. However, 63125, which is actually a smaller geographical area, is a lot more densely populated. There's 3,293 residents per square mile in 63125, which is the north end of the precinct, as compared to 2,456 per square mile in the 63129 Oakville type of area of our precinct. For staffing, the 3 lieutenants, Lieutenant Jim Quinton is in charge of day shift. Lieutenant Lou Kitson is on nights, and then Lieutenant Tom Noonan is the executive officer for the precinct. 67 total commissioned police officers to date in the precinct, and then the 2 professional staffers, Nicole Meadows, who's the facility systems manager, and Sherry Margberger, who is the police aide. The challenges that our precinct faces, I think that these are the same challenges that the 4th Precinct, I started my career in the 4th Precinct in 2003, and they're pretty much the same, but the property crimes, obviously, theft from the retail businesses, mainly South County Mall, Walmart, they're at 3270 Telegraph. And then our unhoused problem, I'm being facetious here, but if I said 10 times, it really is probably 3 times the amount of phone calls and emails. We've had, unfortunately, 3 homicides in our precinct this year. I've gotten 0 calls outside of police department personnel on those. But when we go to do talks in the neighborhood, nobody cares about those. Everything's about the unhoused and what are we doing about it. So a couple of things for our challenges. Just since since July alone, the precinct has had, we will be conducting our 4th special enforcement that our officers love to do. And thanks to Colonel Schneider and the other colonels for allowing us to do those sorts of things. Just to target some of those vehicle break-ins, they've done a fantastic job the first 3, and October 15th, next Wednesday is, tomorrow, losing track of time. Tomorrow night, from 5 p.m. to 1 a.m., our guys and gals, and we've got special enforcement with SRU, the drug unit, Intel, K-9. They'll all be in the 4th Precinct trying to combat some of those property crimes. And then as far as the unhoused problem, our NPOs are constantly working at this, working with our CIT unit, Officer Munson, who strictly deals with this sort of thing. But obviously it's a problem, I think, everywhere. I know that Councilman Archer, Mike Archer of the district, has been working on some legislation, basically just making it, the problem is this is a huge safety hazard. You've got folks who are soliciting for money at the corner of Lindbergh and Lemay Ferry, which is a massive intersection. There's more accidents in the South County area at that intersection than there are anywhere in South County. And the point being, you've got people walking in and out of traffic trying to solicit for money, and that's obviously a huge safety concern of ours, but something that we're working on.
Question real quick. On your special enforcement, without giving any secret details away, what does that entail exactly?
So additional resources, like I said, so SRU, for instance, is providing, they usually provide like anywhere from 6 to 8 bodies to us. We've got guys who are unassigned that night. A lot of guys will work their rec day to do it. So maybe that's, it's usually about 8 to 10 4th Precinct police officers. We'll have our precinct detective there. The drug unit will send undercovers that we can keep eyes on things. Same with intelligence. And then obviously a K-9 there just, for backup. But it's just more additional resources trying to target those problems, high drug areas, places where we've had those larcenies and things of that nature. Okay. For schools in our precinct, there's 24 total schools in the precinct. Again, not going to read them to you, but just as you can see on the graph there, the full-time SROs in the high schools, Melville, Hancock, and then Berkeley Middle School. So 12 schools in the 63125, 12 schools in 63129, and then again, the full-time SROs, what has a shared SRO, all in the Melville School District there. And then the blue, the bolded blue there, those 3 private schools have recently added secondary security to their buildings, mainly because of first what happened in Minneapolis. We started getting calls about that, and then obviously I know that many of you are abreast of what happened at Queen of All Saints and St. Francis of Assisi, where a female went in on Sunday service and shouted a few things at the pastor during communion, which made everybody uncomfortable. And we ended up rectifying that situation, got her the help that she needed. It was a CIT case. Our CIT unit worked well with that. But since then, they have added secondary security. So for community engagement, obviously, we do a ton of things with the schools. These pictures here are from earlier this March, where we had Special Olympics at Melville Senior High School. Further community engagement, obviously, the Chamber of Commerce events were parts of the Afton-Lemay Chamber of Commerce, as well as the Southwest Chamber of Commerce. So we attend monthly meetings there. Already talked about Special Olympics and some of the other things that we do in the precinct on a consistent monthly basis, really.
Shop with a cop. We've heard of the other ones, but what's
Shop with a Cop? It's going to happen coming pretty soon. So we'll take families, less fortunate families, and they'll go out, take them to places like Target or whatever and shop at Christmas time for the kids.
So it's not a race deal where you go.
No, that would be fantastic if it was. Our Citizens Police Academy, I wanted to point this out because it just started last Monday, the 6th. So we're 2 weeks into this. The first week, this is a combined effort with the 3rd and 4th precincts. It's being hosted at the Afton Southwest Precinct. And they're obviously brand-new facility. Myself and Captain Means were there on Monday the 6th to introduce ourselves, tell them about the precincts, ask any questions that we could answer. Detective Melody Quinn from our drug unit did a great job on the opening night. Last night, Crimes Against Persons came in with the medical examiner and trained the students at the Citizens Police Academy. And obviously, over the coming weeks, you can see when the graduation is on November 10th, but we'll have, our tactical operations unit will be out there, K-9, bomb and arson, a lot of the burglary, a lot of the fun things to show those citizens.
How many participants are in the?
This year, we had 30 sign up. I think on opening night, I don't know how many were there last night. Opening night, there was like 24 of the 30 that showed up, which isn't bad.
Good show.
It's been fewer before. And then finally, the last slide happens to do with the South County Police Business Association. I know that most of you are familiar. Obviously, just an unbelievable organization that takes care of the 3rd and 4th precinct officers. This picture is from last year's, where Officer Mike H. Received the Officer of the Year, who's well-deserved. And tomorrow at 11:30 at River City Casino is the South County Police Business Association 2025 Officer of the Year luncheon for both the 3rd and 4th precincts. So I hope that some of you, if not all of you, can attend. That's it for the 4th precinct. Any questions?
A couple, your staffing, would that be considered, full-time, or are you short-handed or anything?
Yeah, everywhere short. We deal, I think the guys and gals do a great job. They understand, I know Lieutenant Higginbotham just talked about it. Is there a factor of burnout? Yeah, a little bit, because, when we need cars to work some overtime, there's times that guys jump on it, there's other times that they don't. But they do a great job at helping each other. I think that one of the things that has really boosted morale, and I just know this because the guys and gals come up to me, and thanks to Colonel Schneider for authorizing it, but it's these special enforcements. It lets them, when they're constantly geared to, and the 4th precinct isn't the first precinct, nobody would ever say that as far as the calls for service, but it's a very busy precinct. And when they have the ability to go out and do self-initiated and proactive policing that they signed up to do, those are things that kind of boost that morale. And I told him, as long as the colonel continue, and I know that him and I have had those discussions, it's a great thing. If we can try to get it monthly, which we've kind of been doing, it's a real morale boost for those guys.
What's going on at the middle schools that require full-time SROs versus?
Nothing's going on, but those are just contracts that Melville School District has.
They just requested it there.
And that's been, since I've really been a policeman.
I was just saying, because there are some middle schools that obviously didn't request it.
Yeah, so of all the middle schools in our precinct, which would be Melville School District and Hancock School District is all we have. They all have that, but the middle schools, the one middle school requested, they have a full-time officer. The others kind of share an officer. So it'd be a county policeman that may have 3 or 4 schools that he or she is assigned to, and they'll vary their times at each location per day or per week.
I was just wondering if you saw any trends with the age group over there prior to going to the high school that warranted it, but there's nothing, no.
Knock on wood, no.
Okay, so rather than having part-time guys.
Yeah. Any other questions?
No, sir.
All right.
None.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'll give you a brief overview of the Central County Precinct. So first off, you see there our old precinct. So I've been in the Central County Precinct 3 times throughout my career. I started
in 1999, the Central County Precinct, when what is currently our precinct station was actually a Quick Trip. And then I was a sergeant on midnights there for a couple years as well, and then now back as the commander. So you see the picture there, our new building. We're really excited about getting into our new building, which we'll be sharing with some other folks. Lieutenant Hokamp and I have been going by there now about once a week, kind of looking at the progress, and a lot of good things happening there. It's coming together and starting to look like a precinct station. So be getting in there. And if anybody would want to tour that at any point, we can certainly set up an opportunity. Again, we go up there about once a week, so if you'd like to come up and see that with us. So the Central County Precinct, I think one of the things that's unique about the Central County Precinct that a lot of people understand if you haven't been assigned there is that all of our other precinct stations you can see here are all together, whereas the Central County Precinct is very fragmented. And so that creates some additional challenges. It's really kind of in three distinct areas. We have the east end of the precinct, which is east of 170. Then the more west end of the precinct goes west from Ashby through Maryland Heights and Creve Coeur to Chesterfield. And then we have a part of Earth City there north of Interstate 70. And each one of those areas kind of has some distinct challenges and different issues. But it's very fragmented. So one of the things that I think officers, it takes a little while to do is understand where are the jurisdictional boundaries, because it's not uncommon to be standing in one spot and, you're standing in unincorporated St. Louis County, but across the street is, Overland, and over here is Olivet. And so it's very fragmented. And you can see a couple areas there, that area kind of in the center at the lower end, that's like 4 or 5 streets in the area of Page and Dealman. It's just kind of isolated, that's ours. And then that really small area there in the middle, that's 3 streets, Edmond, Muriel, and Roslyn. It's just 3 streets that we have that are unincorporated there. So that presents some challenges. We work a lot with the municipal agencies that surround us. So we have a lot of interaction with Overland, Olivet, the North County Police Cooperative, Bridgeton, Maryland Heights, areas like that. So it's very, very fragmented. I think that's kind of unique. So our staffing wise, day watch is run by Lieutenant Fosdick, got 4 sergeants, Sergeant Embry, Pearson, Parker, and Doherty. 13 officers currently assigned on our day watch. Midnights is run by Lieutenant Bagley, Sergeants Bowman, Ness, Tripp, and Brevick. We actually have 14 officers assigned to Midnights right now. That includes 3 probationary police officers that are finishing up their field training, as well as 1 experienced officer that we anticipate will be getting out on their own here probably in the beginning or middle of November. So that'll be a huge boost as far as staffing, having those probationary officers getting out on their own and being able to contribute. Then other staff that we have, so Lieutenant Hokamp runs our D platoon. We have 4 school resource officers that split their time between Ferguson-Florissant School District and Parkway School District. We have 3 police aides. One of them is pictured there. That's Katie Amrine. What she brings to the precinct is we have a very large Spanish-speaking population in the Central County Precinct in the West Overland area, and she's actually fluent in Spanish and Japanese. So on a regular basis, we get people that come into the lobby of the precinct station that their primary language is Spanish, and so she's a huge help. She's translated all the pamphlets in the precinct, the labels and everything to Spanish, so people feel a little bit more comfortable when they come in. And then we have Aaron Smith as a police aide, who I stole from communications when I came from communications, and then Piper Mohesky. I've got 2 neighborhood policing officers you see pictured there, Marty Ingram and Lauren Carter. Do a great job. That's a picture from a community outreach event. We partnered with the Jewish Community Center, which is in the Central County Precinct. The Jewish Community Center is a facility that just based on, what's going on, globally and throughout the country. We provide a lot of extra patrol there. And so they allowed us to come in a couple times, and in partnership with HR, we were able to do kind of a community outreach / recruiting event there, which was really beneficial. We also have Jim Mullins, 1 precinct detective. He was the Creve Coeur Olivet Chamber of Commerce Officer of the Year in 2024. We have 4 cadets currently assigned to the Central County Precinct, 1 pre-recruit, and then we have 4 officers assigned to municipal contracts, which I'll talk about here in a second. So that's kind of what our staffing looks like. We do have 3 municipal contracts, so we have 1 officer assigned to the City of Pasadena Hills,
We have 2 officers assigned to Norwood Court, so 1 officer assigned there full-time, 1 officer that splits his time there. And then our recent contract is the city of Kinloch. So we used to provide 3 hours of police service a day there, and one of the things that's happening in Kinloch is there's this huge cleanup effort that's been going on with the St. Louis Economic Partnership. And so the last time they did a huge cleanup, they asked us, you know, how do we keep it clean? And so the feedback we provided was it's going to be really difficult to do that with only 3 hours of police service a day. So the St. Louis Economic Partnership partnered with the city of Kinloch to increase that police service contract where we have an officer assigned to the city of Kinloch full-time. And just in the last couple months, Lieutenant Hokamp and I were in a meeting last week, community members, and several people spoke up and provided a lot of great feedback on Officer Graham Heidemann, who's assigned to the city of Kinloch right now. You see a picture of him there. This past Friday, there was another phase 3 of the Kinloch cleanup is going to be happening. And so it was a bunch of stakeholders trying to figure out where to focus their resources for the cleanup efforts. And so Officer Heidemann, who knows every inch of Kinloch and knows where all the trash is located, he was able to step up and kind of point out on the map, you know, where they need to focus those community cleanup efforts. So he's doing a really good job there. We're getting a lot of great feedback.
Isn't that the one that's also partnering with the Regional Business Council? And,
It is, yes.
The Urban League, Clean Sweep, that whole thing.
Yeah, a lot of folks are contributing a lot of time and effort and money and equipment in that cleanup. And coming up here in a couple weeks, we'll be back in there again, continuing to clean up the city of Kinloch and clearing brush and things like that. So, I think one of the things we do well in the Central County Precinct, and the chief mentioned the value of it earlier, is community engagement. So we do a lot of community engagement activities in the Central County Precinct. Here's just some photos from some different community engagement activities that we've engaged in. We do a lot of walk and talk. So we've been in Pasadena Hills, Norwood Court, Eagle Valley, a lot of that kind of focused on our east end of the precinct where we traditionally don't have a lot of positive interaction with law enforcement and the community there. We've been doing so National Night Out events. I mentioned we partner with the Jewish Community Center to do a lot of community outreach. Also, you see here that company FSI is out in our city. We've have a great relationship with them. They've provided us with a substation for our officers that ride the city area. They invited us to their employee picnic, so you can see a picture there of officers, some on duty, some off duty, stopping by, and just a lot of great interactions with that company. And then this past Saturday, St. Austin School, which is off of Schutz Road, it's actually not one of our schools that we provide an SRO to. They reached out to us recently based on the active shooter incident that happened at the Catholic school, and so we met with them and we provided them some extra patrol, and that led to them inviting us to their school picnic this Saturday. And so we had several officers from the precinct stop by and had some really great interactions with families and faculty there at the school, and so a lot of good things going on there. Captain Shellman mentioned Citizens Police Academy, so one of the challenges that we were having in the Central County Precinct is getting enough people to sign up for the Citizens Police Academy. So that was one of the things we focused on when we were at the Jewish Community Center, is we had a sign-up sheet there. And our goal is when we get into this new building, we've got that great community room there. That'd be a great venue to have a Citizens Police Academy. So that's something that's kind of coming to in the future. One last community outreach event I want to talk about. I'm really proud of officers in the Central County Precinct. A couple of weeks ago, Officer Pilla, who was here, we saw that he's great at fighting crime, but he's also, I think one of his strengths is community outreach. So he organized a team from the Central County Precinct to walk in this Out of the Darkness walk at Creveport Park. It's to raise awareness on suicide. And so Officer Pilla and Lieutenant Hokamp partnered with SSM to get us all matching shirts, and we went out and walked 3.8 miles there. And I maintain a lot of relationships in the behavioral health community from my time in our crisis intervention unit. I had a lot of people reach out to me after that from the behavioral health community, expressed how much they appreciated the county police having a presence there. And you know, everybody you see there, it's family members, precinct members, and pets. And everybody there is on their own time. They're off duty. They showed up to do that on Saturday. So they did really proud of them for doing that. So you can see there's some numbers, some of the work that's being done. Overall, crime is down in the Central County Precinct.
With regard to the challenges that we are encountering right now, Interstate 70 continues to be kind of our highest call volume. So that area of the city, a lot of traffic accidents happening in that area. And then on down to 70 and Loops and Hunt, a lot of traffic accidents and traffic issues there. And so we've reached out to the Highway Safety Unit, who is going to assist us in providing some additional patrol in those areas. Thefts from vehicles and stolen vehicles kind of comes and goes in apartment complexes. And so providing those areas with extra patrol, and then again, SRU, the mobile precinct, has been helping us out in those areas. And so if we can identify a pattern, again, Captain Shellman and 4th Precinct, they've done a great job of creating a model for the special enforcement. So I think we'll jump on that train as well. Another issue we're having in Norwood Court, there's several apartments that are not livable, and so they've had to move people out, and we're having people come back and reoccupy those, and that's become a pretty significant problem. So we've been taking a lot of enforcement action, and I think Lieutenant Hokamp and I are going to meet with the apartment management and problem properties to try to find a way to address that. Kinlock dumping was a huge issue. Officer Heidemann, he's got a pretty good handle on the dumping that's going on there as well. So that's an issue. I think probably got a pretty good handle on a lot of those issues with help from other areas of the police department. Any questions on Central County?
Thank you.
Good, thank you. Thanks for taking care of Pasadena Hills. Yeah. All right. That it, Chief?
That's it.
Well, members, we have the minutes from our September 17th, 2025 in your packet. Assuming you had a chance to review those, if we could vote on approval of those minutes. Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Amy, now you put Commissioner Hassler down as a vote in there. Okay, great. All right, are there any letters, communications incoming that we aware of?
Nope.
Can I ask a question about that? We had a young lady here, I think 3 months ago, who inquired about some damage done to her vehicle and others. Have we resolved that issue satisfactorily? Or are we in touch with her to let her know what's going on?
I've been in touch with her. I don't know. I don't
You
think
have,
it's been
okay.
resolved, but I know Colonel Mann as well. I don't know if you want to speak to that, Colonel Mann, or not.
I mean, it's been 90 days now. What, would you all entertain the county police reimbursing these employees? And then we'll try and take action against the company?
I think we need to take care of she's an employee of the county, a citizen. I think we need to take care of it expeditiously, so I'm open to whatever it takes.
As am I. It's been 2 years, right? 90 days on our,
Right, just
Yeah,
90
yeah.
since she came to see us, yeah.
Because how much was it she was looking for?
I think there's $25,000
25.
total with like 6
Yeah.
people.
27,000 according.
27.
6 people, something like that? 8? That's, you know, that's ridiculous. I think we show good faith on our end, the department, we take care of our people.
I'll make a motion that we use the resources in the county police budget to reimburse these individuals.
Sir, is that, can we maybe talk about that later as far as us?
I'd like to talk about it now in open forum, if you don't mind.
About us reimbursing the police budget, reimbursing those people for the damages that were done?
Yes.
Yes, I have a concern with us doing that. I mean, I think that should come from the county government itself instead of the police budget, so.
I agree, but I mean, since we don't control the county budget, this seems to me to be the only way that I can figure out.
First, you have to have a second so we can discuss.
Okay?
Not that you have to agree.
No, I
with
hear
the
you.
motion, but you have to have a
I
second.
move that we do that.
You need to
Your second, your second is motion.
Okay, now we can have the discussion about your pros and cons.
so I lean that way, but what I don't know are the ramifications of doing that. So we
That's
do it
my
for these
problem, is the
20
ramifications of us taking care of that out of the police budget.
What kind of precedent
We don't
it
know
sets,
yet.
that's my concern.
I'm less worried I agree with the chief. I'm more worried about, does this set a precedent for what we're going to do to support other people who then have other issues with the department or other, right? And so that's my only concern, Mike. Other than that, it's a heck, not just a yes, it's a heck yes.
Well,
My concern.
just for further discussion, if we have other employees within the department that have run into similar fate, that something was held out for 2 years, we should do it again.
Tony, this specific situation is not my problem. Once we do this, though, so I park my car at a police department, I'm going in to visit the captain of the first precinct. I'll leave it open, sir, just so. And hail comes and damages my car. Well, I want to sue. I want somebody to repair my car, right? Are we on the hook for that? Because we've now set, that's the conversation that's missing in this whole piece.
I agree, because I think we need to make it clear, though, that if that happens and they follow the protocol and process, we have protocols for that, insurance, blah, blah, blah. And as these folks did, this is different in the case that the insurance, they were non-responsible. At first, they said they would, then they said they wouldn't. They were getting a runaround for 2 years. So I'm saying, if another employee gets to run around for 2 years, we should be prepared to help them again. I'm saying if they follow the procedures and process and everybody does what they're supposed to do, it shouldn't take that long. This should not happen. This shouldn't have happened.
So my concern has to do with the budget. We're in a situation where we're cutting things that are necessary. And not that this isn't necessary, but I don't think that our budget should be on the hook because the county itself has been dragging its feet. I think that there may be other ways that we can do that to put pressure on the county, maybe to invite the county counselor, I don't know. But I'm really concerned because we just heard Terry talk about the budget shortfalls and how we're going to manage with that. The academy is looking at cutting funding for three instructors to try to meet the budget. And so it's not that that isn't important, but I think that I would not want to put in jeopardy our budget at this point because of things I've just said.
Well, in deference to the chief, I will table my motion, but it's coming back in 4 weeks if these people don't have resolution.
Agreed.
I agree with that. I think that, by bringing it up in public, this public forum was the right thing to do so that the county council, hopefully they see this and they understand that we will be coming to them to help resolve this issue. Because you're right, it should come out of their budget and not ours.
Commissioners, I will ditto that loudly and clearly. It is now out there, and I would suggest that if it's not handled in 4 weeks, within the next 4 weeks after 2.5 years now, that there is a solution that we will take control of.
Thank you.
That's our commitment to our people.
Go back my.
So can you explain that?
No. He shelved it right
We're
now.
gonna pay for it, or somebody's going to, but for our people to be out when we, the county, have admitted it's our problem and not take care of it is infuriating to me. Absolutely infuriating, as it is to all of us, I assume.
Yeah.
Right, so there's gotta be a solution, and continuing to do nothing is not a solution.
And so, I
Table.
guess, yeah, okay, I just want the one comment, I don't think that we're not doing anything. I think it's the county that's not doing anything, because we have discussed it. We've been waiting for memos or whatever, and it hasn't happened yet. So I would lean towards putting more pressure on county at this point in time.
They have 4 weeks.
Okay. Outgoing communications. Amy, anything?
On my end, no.
Okay. Old business. Under new business, we have some police service agreements, A through F. Don't have as many this month.
I move we accept the contracts labeled A through F.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. Perfect. Thank you. Chief, we have a department manual here, police cadets. Someone gonna speak to us on that.
He came back.
Yeah, yeah.
How was your shower?
All right, let me have it. No, I'm just-
Quick shower.
So the cadet manual, just to give you some of the bullet points, this has been in the works for quite some time. The updates really just bring some overall, update the accountability of the program itself. So the overall purpose, of course, is to have the cadets that are part-time eventually become full-time employees here, whether it be as a commissioned police officer or any avenue of the police department they might be desiring, as working in record security, somewhere like that. So the overall structure of the program was moved out of recruitment. So the personnel services commander would be the overall manager of the cadet program with the day-to-day oversight with the platoon lieutenants in the field. So, of course, a lot of that's making sure that their grade point averages, school, whatnot, of course, takes priority, but to make sure they're maintaining a grade point average of a C, or have that 32 hours of a college credit, with the idea that whenever they're getting knowledge about our department organization, that they'll be eligible for full-time employment when they reach that age. So it's making it more than just what I would consider a glorified ride-along program, but actually when they're in the field in the precincts, or within specialized assignments at the designation of the platoon lieutenant, that they're actually doing work for us and actually gaining a little bit of organizational knowledge as opposed to just doing ride-alongs.
Sure.
Sounds great. Your motion?
I move that we approve the police cadet manual.
Second.
May we ask a couple of questions?
Sure.
First one's a comment on the first page. It lists the Board of Police Commissioners. We're missing a commissioner, and at least the draft I have, and the titles aren't right for the existing commissioners.
Correct. This is a working draft, so that'll be updated whenever it's perfected.
Okay, well, then I'll hold everything else in. If this is a working draft, it's not a final draft, I'm not sure.
Oh, I'm sorry, that made it to all the way, okay. We'll update that.
Okay.
They left you off, Tony.
So clarify what you just said to me. If this is a working draft, are we voting on it or are we not voting on it? I'm sorry to be that picky, but if it's a working draft, then I'm not sure we should spend much time on it.
Yeah, I will get you a perfected copy of the cover sheet with the correct titles before you're done today.
So, that's what I'm, are we voting on it, or you want to wait till he gets the update?
I don't know.
Document going to change substance-wise?
I did not notice that error, so.
Just the cover sheet.
Well, that's an easy one. I mean, there's nothing else in the body of it that's going to change.
No, not unless you guys have any suggestions for change, but just that cover sheet, if the titles are
We
incorrect.
say subject,
That's all I wanted.
Yeah, we can,
subject to the cover page.
The second question is, do you believe that for 18 to 22-year-olds, you're clear on what the expectations are of being a cadet is? Not for us, but people who are 18 to 22 years old, the group here. It seems like they're there. My feedback would be, it seems like they're there, but it's all spread out. Just a question. You don't have to respond, sir. It's not as clear as other policies we've seen that say, here's what's expected of you, or whatever it might be. And my third is just a comment of, it was interesting in section B, number D, bill collectors, bail bondsmen, and alcoholic beverage sales are the three things they can't do. I just thought that was interesting. So anyway, nothing more than that.
We will get that cover, that updated.
So subject to the change in the cover sheet. Motion still stands. Okay. Second. And then second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much, sir. Anything for the public forum, Amy? Nope. Okay. The Board of Police Commissioners may vote to go into closed meeting for legal advice and review of claims and lawsuits involving the police department, section 610.0211 RSMO and section 114.02011 SLCRO, and for discussions closed under section 610.02119 A and D RSMO and sections 114.020.121 and 23 SLCRO for discussions in which, if conducted in open meeting, would impair the ability of St. Louis County, the St. Louis County Police Department, and the Board of Police Commissioners to protect security or safety of persons or real property, and the public interest in non-disclosure outweighs the public interest in disclosure of the records. Is there a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Amy?
Commissioner Ashworth? Yes. Commissioner Banks?
Yes.
Commissioner Hassler?
Yes.
Commissioner Thompson?
Yes.
Commissioner Wild?
Yes.
Yeah, they left Tony off of this, and they don't have, we're in closed session. What's that?
You didn't say it. You didn't finish the meeting.
We are now in closed session. That's what you want me to say?
Yes.
Okay, we're in closed session.
Everybody was just sitting.
Okay, we are back in open session. We thought we had closed previously. We had a little technical difficulty. There was only one vote taken in closed session, and that was to return to open session. And our own decision was that the next board meeting will be November the 12th, Wednesday, November 12th. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I so move.
There's a second?
Oh, there it is.
Commissioner Ashworth?
Yes.
Commissioner Banks?
Yes.
Commissioner Hassler?
Yes.
Commissioner Thompson? Commissioner Wild?
We had technical difficulty on the first.
Now we're adjourned.